The lights on his head look like a penis. Hey people, you're right to war. Welcome to Mass Effunk, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer guide by Bwnci, and today we're gonna be OP. I can say that completely unironically, even though I'm following a video on the Incendiary glitch, because today we're gonna be taking a look at the human Infiltrator. Infiltrators sure do have it sweet with the tactical cloak ability, which, as advertised, lets your character become invisible so that the enemy cannot see them for the power's entire duration, or at least until you decide to break cloak and attack for a massive damage bonus. Breaking cloak effectively cancels the ability, which in turn greatly shortens the length of time needed for the power to recharge. In fact, if you are to cancel cloak immediately after entering it, you can guarantee yourself a 3-second recharge speed on the power, regardless of your loadout. Couple that with the fact that any ability used to break cloak will only bring about tactical cloak's recharge speed, and you've got yourself a balancing nightmare. Fortunately though, it's not our job to balance the game, so this is how you want to build tactical cloak. For the first evolution, get damage. This provides a massive 80% additive bonus to any attack performed from cloak, enabling you to take out most enemies before they can even see you. You're not going to need that extra duration when there's nothing left to hide from. For the next evolution, I recommend the recharge speed. This is because as an infiltrator, you have the good fortune of being able to fight or fly. So should you want to opt out of a situation, you can then use the full duration of tactical cloak to get yourself well out of dodge, and then this evolution is going to make sure you're not out of the game for too much longer. Then for the final evolution, get yourself the sniper damage. This gives this kit a massive bonus to sniper rifles because the weapon class bonus at rank 6 of Tactical Cloak is multiplicative, meaning it will add 25% of your sum total weapon damage should it come from a sniper rifle. This gives this character some amazing burst damage which you can use to assassinate enemies, which only gets more effective with Cryoblast, despite it being one of the few abilities in the game that doesn't benefit from Tactical Cloak's recharge speed. Cryoblast weakens armor mitigation and slows targets down to the point of freezing those unprotected enemies completely still, or, failing that, comes with enough force to stagger said enemies. The benefits of which should be self-explanatory for those using a sniper rifle. Here's how you want to build the power. For the first evolution, get Radius, because this actually gives Cryoblast a radius so it can hit up to 2 enemies per cast, for far greater crowd control than you'll get with the Duration evolution, because what are you leaving enemies frozen there for? Simply lock them up and take them down with the next evolution, Cryo Explosion, which increases all damage done to targets hit with Cryoblast by 10%. Then top that off at rank 6 with Frozen Vulnerability, which will knock that debuff up to 25% for 2 multiplicative bonuses of the same value, so you can do some amazing damage with a sniper rifle. This evolution will also weaken armor by an additional 25%, as that's what Cryoblast does innately, so you can bring down armor mitigation to half strength. Your final ability then is Sticky Grenade, which truly does in armor. It's a rather precise explosive with a radius more akin to Cryoblast than any other grenade power. It's most effectively used, or more easily sort of slapped onto your big boss targets for massive damage. It also oddly inflicts your ammo bonus on contact with the enemy, allowing you to set up and detonate tech combos with elemental rounds. So build it for damage and armor piercing. The armor piercing evolution will multiply its damage to armor by 150%. Then, for alliance training, get weapon damage at rank 4. It should hopefully now be very clear why recharge speed bonuses are a waste of time on your infiltrators. But for rank 5, I recommend the power damage. This will give a nice boost to the sticky grenade, although you are good with the headshots evolution for the very same reason you want weapon damage at rank 6. That'll leave you with enough points for 3 ranks of fitness, which is all you're going to need thanks to Tactical Cloak. Of course, if you don't fancy sniping, we can take a look at my female human infiltrator. With her, Tactical Cloak is just taken to rank 5, so I can get rank 6's damage in Sticky Grenade. The extra radius with Proximity Trap is nice, but never good. Sticky Grenade's never going to be your grenade for crowd control. With that, I equip her with the Geth Plasma Shotgun, modded out with the spare thermal clip and high caliber barrel. The Geth Plasma Shotgun is a brutally powerful shotgun with some amazing accuracy and range with its shot's ability to home or track the enemy. As a projectile weapon, the Geth Plasma Shotgun ignores armor mitigation and shield gate, which is ideal for a character without any shield stripping abilities. It also offers an amazing hit reaction chance and reliably applies ammo effects. And that reliability transfers over to your sticky grenades. As a ramp-up weapon, its charge shot can be released without breaking cloak, retaining the damage bonus and invisibility for a follow-up snapshot or escape if necessary. Starting a charge, however, does break cloak, but charge shots can be released into situations where you otherwise couldn't fire, like when you're stunned, which can also save your life. In fact, the Geth Hunters, who also use the Geth Plasma Shotgun, are annoyingly famous for this. The Geth Plasma Shotgun fires 3 visible projectiles per shot, 1 main projectile and 2 others at 30% strength, effectively firing 1.6 projectiles per shot in terms of damage, although only the main projectile inflicts ammo damage. The projectiles do the damage listed in the game's files only when the weapon is fully charged, however. Completely uncharged, the projectiles do just 45% of their full damage, unlike any other weapon you can ramp up, which always do a minimum of 100%. As a result, the Geth Plasma Shotgun does over double damage when you fully charge it, with a maximum 2.22 charge bonus. Also, unlike most weapons you can ramp up, the Geth Plasma Shotgun can fire a partially charged shot. The ramp-up multiplier continuously grows for 2 seconds, or until the max value is reached, consuming up to 2 rounds per shot when charged more than halfway, although it can still be charged with just 1 round. Due to this, the ammo damage is always based off the weapon's full damage, regardless of the charge level, resulting in you always getting the most out of your ammo bonus, and by extension, your sticky grenades. Also, as an explosive weapon, it cannot score headshots, which just means more power damage for your stickies if you didn't have it already. With all that said, the sticky grenades can work as your main source of damage for this character. Bonus power at rank 6, a tactical cloak will stop Cryoblast lifting the veil so you can remain hidden in your attack, as throwing a grenade doesn't break cloak either. So even though your damage isn't as quick, you can still afford to slow down and debuff the enemy with Cryoblast so that you can get a sticky grenade down at their feet to blow them up. Any enemies frozen solid by Cryoblast will also be primed for a Cryo Explosion, which sticky grenade can detonate for more air effect damage and freezing. You can make your sticky grenade more capable of dealing with mooks and bosses effectively with the Radius evolution at rank 4 before you get the armor piercing and damage. Then you just need damaging capacity and power damage in Alliance training so you can afford the same health to a power build of the human Infiltrator. But there'll be more on that later on in the series. For now, let's go back to the male Infiltrator and equip him with the Kishock Harpoon Gun, because these two were made for each other. If this was Match.com, they'd already be planning the wedding. This weapon is honestly a perfect match for the human Infiltrator, modded with the extended barrel and enhanced scope, as this is one of the few times where the accuracy bonus is useful, plus it will highlight enemies in Cerberus smoke for you. Your only other real option is the spare thermal clip. For your ammo bonus, Incendiary rounds. The dot complements the bleed damage of the Kishock nicely and improves your damage against armor, but it also lets your sticky grenade set enemies on fire too to set up a fire explosion, which itself can detonate when it explodes for amazing damage against boss targets. Then make yourself comfortable with a sniper rifle rail amp and a cyclonic modulator. Level 4 will knock your shields up to 1375 to cover your arse for when your shots aren't sharp enough. Then for your gear bonus, just get the sniper rifle amp. That sets the scene. It's a match made in heaven. Let's check it out. Okay, so the venue is Hydra Reaper's Gold, and I'm joined by Myth, Ghidorah, and Fresh Chrome again. Hydra's a pretty cool map, if you can look past a few bugs, because the enemy will spawn here at LZ2, and sometimes they can just get stuck here. They're completely unable to move from the situation, and if you're like using a Vanguard, you can't charge them, so there's definitely some rippling effects. But what can actually happen is that the big enemies can actually trap the small enemies up there. So you've got a little slaughterhouse at home. So it can be advantageous. But what you really want to watch out for on this map is the death zone that I'm staring at here at the bottom of the ramp. This is a big open area that has very little cover and is basically surrounded by the rest of the map. So if you find yourself out here for too long, you can take damage from all directions and just get wrecked out here. Particularly if you're going up against like the Cerberus enemy faction. The combat engineers put turrets all over the place, which will just shred you apart. And the Geth will just have you bouncing all over the place out there, and you know, the collectors are like a combination of the two. So yeah, try and keep yourself out of the death zone as much as you can on this map, but because otherwise it's an amazing map for sniping and grenades. Okay, there's 2 grenades per ammo box on this map, and obviously you can use the higher ground to pick off all the enemies yourself. But what's so special about this Kishock? Because I've made enough fuss about it. Well, what you need to know about the Kishock Harpoon Gun is it is the single hardest hitting weapon in the game. But it fires projectiles, as opposed to the guns I've shown you in previous videos, which are known as hit-scan weapons. An actual object is fired from this weapon, and these objects, in every situation bar one, which is the Chrysay, they all ignore shield gate, which is just amazing for a character like the Human Infiltrator, which has no ability to strip shields. It essentially allows you to one-shot most enemies in the game, okay, with the Kishock, especially when you've got this amazing tactical cloak boost and cryoblast debuff backing it. Now you might be wondering, Bwnci, you magnificent beast, how on earth can you get the cloak boost and cryoblast debuff in the same attack string? Because obviously if you use cryoblast first, it's going to put a cooldown on all of your powers, and if you cryoblast in cloak, you're obviously going to break cloak. Well, what you need to understand about tactical cloak is, yes, it does boost all of your damage, no matter what your attack is, while you're invisible, but it also continues to boost damage for another 2.5 seconds after you become visible again. This is your attack window for tactical cloak. And invisibility actually even lasts for another whole second after you perform an action that breaks cloak. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and clear this spawn to get the pack back to LZ, and first she's going to steal it and take it back to the enemy spawn for some reason. I don't know. Let's focus on what works, okay? The debuff as well with Cryoblast is also just amazing for slowing and freezing the enemy too, okay, which makes landing this projectile of the Kishock so much easier, because what you need to understand about projectile weapons is, unlike your standard weapon fire, and I do use that term very loosely, they don't actually instantly hit the enemy, okay? They actually need to travel from you to them, and in this travel time there's a delay in the damage, okay? So what you need to do in many cases is actually predict your target's movement and lead your shots there as if you were playing a game of Space Invaders, okay? And also gravity affects the Kishock as well. You'll need to adjust your aim a little higher over greater distances so that your harpoons don't just hit the floor. The hit scan weapons I used previously, the scan is that. As soon as you aim and pull the trigger, the game scans to see if you're aiming in the right place and then calculates the damage instantly. That's not the case with the Kishock and other projectile weapons. The Kishock also kind of backs up how all the problems with projectiles by having actually a really low magnification in its scope compared to other sniper rifles, at least. Which is why the shots just work so much better in mid to close range, okay? With less distance to travel, there's less opportunity for them to go astray, making them far more predictable and reliable. That's definitely what you want, okay? And you can handle this, guys. I believe in you. You can definitely survive sniping in close quarters. Because with our build of Cryoblast, we've actually got some really sweet crowd control. Not only do we hit up to 2 enemies per cast, but the enemies we shatter afterwards, okay, when they break, they can actually slow and freeze other nearby enemies, and we can sort of quickly respond to this with the weapon's crazy fast reload speed, and its great ammo reserves, okay? You can just stay out there and pump the enemy full of harpoons, okay? It's great. I mean, obviously at lower levels, there's not as much spare ammo. You might want the spare thermal clip in that situation, but I find at level 10, you can really afford to just get the hurt out with the Kishock. It's amazing. And, you know, with practice and this kind of control, you can actually just put this combination to amazing effect. Unlike the Xbox 360's D-pad, which just made me bring out my rockets when all I wanted was a thermal clip pack. That's all I wanted. So I had sticky grenades for that brute. But yeah, this is only under the right conditions, okay guys? I will warn you right now that you need to be wary of lag, because it absolutely ruins all projectiles in the game. It really does. I'll get back to that. Let me just mention what I did here, okay? And I did this for the first objective as well. I cloak before I fire my missile, because the Cobra missile isn't an insta-kill, alright? It does about 50,000 damage in its center, in the center of its radius, okay? In the first 2 meters of it, you're going to get about 50,000 damage out of it. And then it gets, and then obviously the damage gets less as you go further out. There's about 7.5 meters in total with the Cobra missile. But I say there's 50,000 damage because, like, the possessed Praetorians kind of reliably survive a Cobra missile hit. And, and they're the only enemies in gold with over 50,000 damage. You've also got to remember as well that when enemies spawn, they come with some damage reduction. So if you're not killing an Atlas with your Cobra missiles, it's probably because he's either not in the center of the explosion or because he's just spawned and he's got some nice damage reduction. But if you cloak, you can actually increase the damage of the Cobra missile because it is boosted by your weapon damage bonuses. The ones that you equip, the ones you build yourself with, and the ones you can activate, like Tactical Cloak or Adrenaline Rush. Okay, so yeah, you can get a nice 80% damage bonus behind that 50,000 damage, and that should reliably kill everything for you, okay? That's something you absolutely want to be doing. But what was I talking about? Ah, yes, projectiles and lag. Whether they're coming from your Omni tool or your gun, they can actually just straight up disappear if you've got a bad connection with the host, which can make the Kishock a bit of a liability off host. I'm afraid there's nothing you can do about it, guys. The game just needs a better netcode. However, if you can line up your shots, you can take advantage of some really nice bonuses that the Kishock has. One in particular is its 3 times headshot modifier. Okay, although this is most probably to offset the fact that 40% of the damage goes unaffected by this bonus, okay? Because the Kishock does 60% of its listed damage on impact, and then the other 40 is done over 5 seconds to represent the bleed effect. Because the Kishock's actually the only gun in the game with a dot element like this. But unfortunately, the bleed damage goes unchanged by any of your weapon damage's bonuses, unlike the Cobra missiles, okay, besides the Tactical Cloak sniper damage bonus. But you need to understand, it's not too bad, okay, because the headshot modifier is like a transformation of the default 2.5 multiplier. So it situates the bonus in this sort of special multiplicative position, which increases the sum total of your damage, which is extremely powerful, but has no effect on bosses. Okay, multiplicative headshot bonuses don't work on the bosses. You still only get a 1.4 multiplier on their weak points. Never be saddened by the fact that we're not getting all the damage bonuses that we thought we were getting, okay, because it just wouldn't be a Batarian weapon without the sick satisfaction in killing with it, okay, because you might notice that when you take the mooks out with this gun, it just ragdolls them with some incredible force. It's very, very entertaining. Plus, there's a 1.75 multiplier if you choose to charge the gun. This also makes the harpoons fly a bit straighter, which can help. But it's a small bonus compared to most charged weapons, and it takes 1.5 seconds to fully charge, which isn't bad if you ignore the fact that the weapon reloads in about half the time of any other single-shot sniper rifle. So you can actually fire 2 uncharged shots in the same time for better damage. The charged shot's actually better used to just sort of one-shot kill phantoms, okay, because if you cloak and throw cryoblast at her, the projectile will force her to put up her power blocking ability, that little bubble of hers. And I can personally vouch that your debuff will actually work through there. You may not do, cryoblast doesn't do any damage, but if you had a debuff that did damage, the damage won't go through, but the actual debuff effect will. I can vouch for this because as the host player, you actually do direct damage to the Phantom's health when you hit her bubble at 25% strength, because just like the Bwnci, okay, the Phantom's bubble extends her hitbox too. And the damage isn't decreased because of shield gate, because it does affect the projectile weapons as well. And because projectile weapons cannot pierce, you can't hit the Phantom twice either, okay? You can pierce Guardian shields and the crappy armor plating that Husks and Cannibals has, because when the projectile attaches itself to an enemy, it sort of protrudes through and hits them anyway. But, real piercing through, walls and stuff. You can't do that with projectile weapons. So you can't get a headshot on the Phantom or hit her twice. And as a result, you just wouldn't be able to take out the Phantom's full health without the debuff being in action there. So, they do go through. Still, if you are, if you don't just need to use the charge shot for one-shotting phantoms, you can use it while you're sort of hunting for a target or lining up your shot, okay? It's a really good opportunity to do that as well, because if you take advantage of the ramp-up bonus at that point, because just like the Geth Plasma Shotgun, or any other ramp-up or charge weapons, releasing a charge shot doesn't break cloak. So that enables you to basically fire a charge shot and then quickly fire an uncharged shot right next to it for like this amazing boost in damage, okay? Gives you a really great jump on the enemy. You can also use that fact to hit and run, okay? You can use a hit and run tactic on this because you might decide that the situation is a bit ugly after you've hit the enemy and you might want to get out of there before they realise what's hit them. Because as long as you don't pull the trigger while invisible, you'll stay invisible. You know, you can fire without revealing yourself. Just make sure you hold down the shoot button before you hit tactical cloak, okay? Because charge shots don't break cloak. They don't if you just release a charge shot into them. And also, like the Geth Plasma Shotgun, okay, the Kishock and the Geth Plasma Shotgun do share a couple of similarities. It's the Kishock is the only other weapon in the game that can actually shoot a partially charged shot. So even if you don't have that whole 1.5 seconds to spare, you actually still gain some kind of damage boost by holding down the trigger. But unlike the Geth Plasma Shotgun, okay, this is actually a disadvantage for your ammo damage. Because unlike the Geth Plasma Shotgun, the damage is never lower than its listed damage. It actually increases from it. So with a fully charged shot, your ammo bonus is over 40% weaker than it ought to be due to the game just using the listed damage to calculate it. This, again, is because the damage can take on so many forms with the Kishock's 1 to 1.75 multiplier. Every cloud has a silver lining though, the Kishock is the only sniper rifle without a hipfire penalty, something that lowers the base damage value of your weapon, seriously decreasing your overall damage if you don't use your scope. As a result, you can throw grenades normally without aiming in, and the ammo damage they inflict won't be affected either, since it's the base value of your weapon that it's calculated off, which as I said is very high. This, plus the higher chance both snipers and projectiles have in this matter, make it so your stickies are pretty much guaranteed to apply your ammo effect on contact and give you a free tech combo. That's how we deal with big armor. Cloak, plant a sticky, and then cryoblast, because throwing grenades is something else that doesn't break cloak, letting you have the debuff and the cloak boost on your explosive, since it doesn't matter when a power is cast, as long as it does its damage during a cloak's attack window, it will receive the bonus. Throwing the grenade last would have it explode too late, but doing it the way I told you is a massive hit to armor coupled with a fire explosion, another big hit. Because amazingly, the stickies prime on contact and detonate when they explode. Such an awesome bug is great since we can't pierce the bosses and score multiple hits on them like other sniper rifles can, but there is enough time after the grenade is thrown to shoot a projectile which ignores armor mitigation and seems to randomly do triple damage from time to time. God knows why or how. But that's why the Kishock's awesome. Let's discuss your other choices. If you're starting with this character today, I think it should be obvious that the Mantis is your best choice for him. Okay, the Mantis, literally, between him and the Human Adept, they are like your best choices for like starting the game. Okay, they do a lot of damage for you. The other option being the Human Vanguard, which we'll cover in the next video. But of course there are lag issues, but I'll get into that later. When you start unlocking uncommons, you might want to try something like the Raptor or the Incisor sniper rifle. They'll definitely do a better job of handling shields for you, okay, because they have multiple shots in their magazine. So it doesn't matter if you can't kill the enemy in one shot. You can also go with shotguns as well, okay? You can go with something like the Eviscerator or the Scimitar, okay? Because most shotguns don't suffer shields either. And neither do assault rifles, okay? So the Mattock would be sweet as well. When you start unlocking golds, though, the Widow is obviously the ultimate improvement to the Mantis. But you'll probably want to be using phasic rounds on these kind of sniper rifles, okay, so that shields don't fuck up your damage and let you to continue to one-shot enemies like I'm doing in this video. And but also there's gold sniper rifles that you don't need to worry about. Shields like the Collector sniper rifle that works more like a powerful submachine gun. But what you really want to be doing with this character is going with weapons that do a lot of damage in a single hit for you, okay, like the Executioner pistol, little pocket sniper, and the Arc pistol, okay. The Arc pistol's good because that thing can bypass shields with the way its charge shot works. You're a winner with any of the rare shotguns, really, bar the Disciple. It's just kind of crap. But, you know, the Claymore and the Raider in particular offer amazing damage. In fact, the Raider can match your cryoblast for enemies it can hit You know, the Growl and the Get Plasma Shotgun do just synergize really well with this character, getting the most out of what the Sticky Grenade bug can do for you, as well as offering amazing damage. And then when it comes to Ultra Rares, try something like the Black Widow. Okay, that's got multiple shots in it, so you don't necessarily need Phasic Rounds with that. But with the Javelin, okay, most powerful single shot in the game, you'll want Phasic Rounds on that bad boy. But there are also the Indra and Valiant, which will bypass shield gate for you just fine. Of course, Carrier always works. Talon's a good ultra rare to use. It's a pistol that works like a shotgun. And in fact, all your ultra rare shotguns are good. But the Venom shotgun should synergize really well with it. Although throwing a sticky with a charged shot is tricky to do on a console, I will admit. For your ammo bonus, Incendiary is what I recommend. Getting that fire explosion on the bosses is obviously the best damage you can get, although if you went with Disruptor, you can get yourself some nice free tech bursts. Phasic is what you want to be going with otherwise if you're not going for the free tech combo to make sure that you can one-shot all the enemies with this character. Otherwise, just go with your typical weapon damage bonuses. Go with Armor Piercing, Drill, Warp or Cryo. For your armor bonus, go with the Cyclonic Modulator. Okay, just so you've got a fallback, you've got a safety net in case you do miss your shot, because the Kishock does have a bit of a learning curve to it. Otherwise, I recommend something like the Power Amplifier to increase the damage of your Sticky Grenade. Although, as a Infiltrator, you can definitely get away with using something like Shield Power Cells or the Adrenaline Module, okay, because when you're invisible, the enemy don't see you, so you get a lot less aggro. The enemy will see you as a lower priority target than your teammates that they actually can see, so this gives you a great opportunity for you to recharge your shields. But then finally, for your gear bonus, go with a weapon or a shield bonus for you, like I've already mentioned. Failing that, you could go with something like Grenade Capacity. In fact, if you can go with one of those bonuses that give you a weapon and a grenade bonus, like the Shock Trooper upgrade, that, you know, if it's applicable, depending on which weapon you've gone with, that'll be great for you as well. There's also the Assault Loadout, which gives you the Thermal Clip Packs. If you do go for a power damage bonus here in your gear slot, just make sure it's a non-specific one, okay? Because the Sticky Grenade is a combat power, so it's not improved by biotic or tech bonuses. And, you know, your Cryoblast doesn't do any damage, so don't waste your time with any power damage bonus that's for, like, tech, alright? But that covers everything. You have some fun with the character now. Infiltrators may get a lot of disrespect, but the Kishock doesn't. If it works out for you, give us a like and tell me about it in the comments section. And subscribe if you haven't already. It's been beautiful, guys. Let's do it again sometime.